Well, good morning, everybody. This is Dennis Mattern with Creative One, and proud to introduce Jonathan Lee of the Elite Advisor Academy. We're going to do some case study, and Jonathan, I turn it over to you.
All right. Good afternoon. Hope everybody is doing well. Summer is about half over, and I think that it's getting pretty hot in most of the country, so hopefully you guys are able to stay by the water. I got 4 cases that were sent in today. And unfortunately, Bobby is doing some continuing education today, so she's not with us. So it's just me alone with Dennis. So if I screw anything up, hopefully he'll be able to bail me out. But I got 4 cases I wanted to go over with you guys, and I have not looked at these ahead of time, just so you guys know. So I'm going to show you how we would plan them, and then I'm going to show you, I think, what is probably the easiest but most commonly overlooked retirement strategy, which is just simply how do you move life insurance for your clients. How do you fund the life insurance with retirement accounts? And I'm going to show you how that kind of stuff works. So there's just a few people on the line today. We'll be recording this, but we're going to leave it unmuted. So if you guys have any questions, you should be able to chime in. You can mute your phones, though, so we don't hear any of your background noise. And then I'm just going to jump right in. So feel free to stop me if I talk too fast, because I know I'll be talking fast. And we'll go over these cases, and I'll show you the sales strategy, and then hopefully we can be in good shape. So in any case, let me just see if I can get this thing out of my face so you can see the screen. I'm moving this. I don't know what I'm doing here. Of course, I'm already screwing it up. Okay, anyway, I'm trying to get this out of my face. So here's the first case, and this was, let's see here. This is the model for a 57-year-old and a 50-year-old couple. Looks like they're going to be retiring at age 62. One of the things I want to talk about real quick before I get started, and by the way, you guys got to mute your phones because I can hear a lot of background noise. So please just mute it. And if you don't mute it, then we're going to mute everybody, which is probably fine too. So just mute your phone, mute, hit the mute button, unless you want to say something. Okay. A lot of us in this business, we kind of hold ourselves out as financial planners, financial advisors, sort of the go-to person. But, in reality, a lot of times we're not necessarily dealing with somebody's life sort of macroeconomically. A lot of times we're not looking at their car and homeowners insurance and telling them to get an umbrella policy. A lot of times we're not making sure their wills and trusts are updated. A lot of times we're not helping them out, make sure that they got the right financial aid things in college. Hey, Dennis, I think we're going to have to mute the phone because whoever's making that noise is not muted.
You got it. I will take care of it in 2.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and mute you guys, which means that you now have to ask your questions at the end. So I apologize, but I couldn't hear myself talk.
You are good to go, Jonathan. And then if anybody wants to put the chat box function does work. It's in the left bottom corner of your screens.
Thanks, Dennis. I've run across just too many people that have sort of had clients, and these are guys that maybe I'm competitors with in my area or cases that I've done joint with you guys. But, a client really believes that we've taken care of them, but we haven't. And one of the reasons why we haven't is because we don't necessarily follow a systematized process to make sure we don't leave any stones unturned. And that's why this model is so important, because it's going to talk about everything that we need to talk to the clients about is going to be on this model. So even if we're using it as a sales tool, or if we're using it just as something to help keep us on track, whatever it is that we're using it for, it's really important that you follow some type of model. And obviously the clients really appreciate seeing their entire lives on one piece of paper. So these models may not be perfect today because different advisors have sent them to us, but it's much better to have something like this rather than just a general fact finder or a bunch of unorganized papers or yellow pads or whatever else it is. All right, so in any case, there's 3 kids here. There's a guy with $1 million of insurance. They're heavy into the Roth 401k, which I think is fantastic. There's another old 401k here somewhere else. I don't know if that's able to be moved. But the first thing that I see here is this guy probably needs some type of permanent insurance, and he probably needs some disability. I'm looking at a sales thing, and again, this is the first time I'm seeing this, but in general terms, he probably has some kind of base salary, and he probably needs some disability insurance and doesn't realize, hey, if he gets sick or hurt, there's no way he's going to get more than likely any significant portion of this income. and he's a primary breadwinner more or less. He probably has a kid or two in college. So it says right here his term insurance is over in 2 years. So as we're kind of talking through these cases, you'll hopefully pick up a little bit about how we're supposed to think about these things, and maybe it'll help you guys start thinking in these terms with your clients as well. So Marissa is going to be out of college in 2020. All right, so this particular case, the first thing I see, like I said, is a need for maybe some permanent insurance. It's not going to go away after this 2 years is up because nobody wants to lose all their insurance, and obviously some disability. The way that we position this also is, hey, these guys are probably younger than the average couple is that's looking at long-term care. But if we can talk to them about, do you have a parent, relative, acquaintance, or anybody that's been in any type of assisted living situation or full-time care situation, do you know how much it's going to cost? And really try to help motivate these guys to do kill the three birds with one stone idea while they're young and healthy. Get the permanent life insurance, get the disability insurance, and then build some tax-sheltered money for retirement. So it's pretty easy. This client looks like they've already got a couple of annuities here, so I'm not going to go over product today. I just want to go over strategy. So they're building up a nice pool of money into tax-free drawers. More than likely, if he's putting in $18,000 into a Roth 401k, he's getting matched 7. It probably means he only needs to put in 7. So the other 11 that he's not putting in, the other 11 that he is putting in, we can probably reroute that 11 up to solving this insurance problem for him. So that's pretty simple. A little projection for retirement here. Doesn't look like they have much pension. Income and sales guys like us, very rarely do have pensions. So for them to make a whole lot less in retirement than they're making now, we really want it to be as tax-free as possible. So that's really important for these guys. And ultimately, when these guys also stop or are done in 2020 with putting kids through school, they can probably start beefing up what they're putting in. I might put a PUA rider on the life insurance so they can stash more in, and that kind of thing. So that's kind of planning for the future. In terms of real estate, looks like they have a house paid off, and looks like they have another mortgage at 4%, $230,000. I don't know how much school they have to pay left to pay, I should say, but again, they've got maybe $200,000 of equity in this house and a bunch of equity in this house. Maybe open up a line of credit to help them pay the school stuff off. This is probably a really good loan at 4% right now, so you may or may not mess with that, unless they have a bunch of debt. I'm assuming these guys don't have any student loan debt or credit card debt now because it's not on the model. So we really want to get these guys positioned to have as much tax-free income in retirement, solve the problem of disability protection, and losing all their existing insurance. So it's a pretty straightforward case. Like I said, I love the fact they're tax sheltering so much right now. Whatever accounts these are probably get transferred to the whoever the advisor is in this case, because you're giving them all this great advice on insurance and college and retirement. I'm sure they'll move the money to you. Doesn't seem like it's too difficult. Oh yeah, so it says right here, cash refi used to purchase cottage. That was a smart move because now they're getting a tax deduction for both homes. I don't know if they're going to stay in this house when they retire, but I think that looks good. So long-term care, disability, life insurance, roll over all their money, pretty simple. Okay? Let's go on to the second case, and I'm going to go through these quick because I do have a good illustration to show you at the end as well. Case number 2, Patty and Greg, 3 kids, a little bit older. Looks like they're mostly working part-time or retired. They have no plan. They enjoy working. Social Security is being saved. Okay, which means I don't know if they're both taking Social Security, but it looks like they have more money than they need, which is a great place to be. Concerned about long-term care, is charitably applied. Okay, so here's a great example here. He suffers from something that I can't pronounce, okay, and it's some kind of rare autoimmune deficiency. This guy, if he has a rare autoimmune deficiency, he's probably not insurable through traditional means. So what do? We pull out the knockout questions from National Western Life, and if you can answer no to those 5 or 10 questions, we pick up the phone. I did this yesterday with a client. Pick up the phone and call National Western and get him underwritten for the simplified issue over the phone. It's a 10-pay policy. If he gets approved over the phone, then he can have it. And after 10 years, he's paid up. And in this particular case, if this isn't something to do with cancer or age or something, he probably can get insurance right over the phone within about a 15 to 20-minute phone call. So that's what I would do with this guy, and just to show that we can provide some value for him. He probably doesn't think he can get insurance. I don't see any insurance on here, so this guy probably never knew he could get it, and I'm pretty sure he could get it because this isn't something that is probably one of those knockout questions, so I think that's what I would do. Start the underwriting process, fantastic. May not be able to get long-term care on him. Probably can get long-term care on the wife. I don't know how healthy she is, but I'll ask her. Just so you guys know, what I typically do, because a lot of times we don't have enough premium or it doesn't make sense to get life insurance and long-term care on both of them, I would definitely show them the statistic that there's a lot more women out there that need long-term care than men. The primary reason for that is the men are not as equipped to help the women out with care as women are for the men. So if you have a younger spouse that's a female, if the husband got sick or old, she would probably be able to take care of him for quite a while. If she gets elderly and needs help, he probably is not as well equipped to help her. So having that conversation with the clients, they understand that, they appreciate it. So we may end up doing a simplified issue life insurance on him, and then on her we'll do the life insurance with the long-term care. Okay? Charitable clients, fantastic. That's great. Interested in reverse mortgage, that's fine. Can live off of $30,000 a year. So they're pretty frugal. Looks like they have no debt. Honestly, I don't know why they said they're interested in a reverse mortgage. I don't think it's necessary to do a reverse mortgage right now. If they move and they want to do something else, they can do it. But I think I would kind of reserve the reverse mortgage as a last-ditch kind of deal if they really, really needed it. But, you know, if they are looking to get as much income as possible and gift money to kids or do whatever else they want to do, certainly those newfangled reverse mortgages that are really just reverse lines of credit, I don't think they can really hurt you. So that's fine. IRAs, I don't have any statements. I don't know where these IRAs invested in, but again, I would assume that they would want to give us all their money because we're doing a lot more planning for them. Interestingly enough, looks like they got a lot of cash in the bank. I think this cash in the bank is probably from the fact that they're saving their Social Security. So potential CRUT case, you know, you can do a small CRUT with the $80,000. You can convert some of these IRAs to Roth and get a lot more money into tax-free in retirement. A lot of different simple things you can do here. And I think you can really make a huge difference in this person's life. So this is a case where the clients don't have a ton of money, but it's enough to, you know, when you start adding up the life insurance sale, you add up the rollover, you add up the CRUT. I mean, you guys could easily make, I don't know, $30,000 in commissions on it, just a rare, usual, everyday kind of case, and that's what we want to see. We want to see us having a major impact in people's lives. We want to see us fulfilling all the wants and needs that they have, and you want to be able to make a good living doing it, obviously. Okay? Pretty simple. Let me see if I have any questions. I don't think I have any questions so far. Let's jump to number 3. Let's close this one. Case number 3. So this case is actually a case that I'm working on with one of you guys. And it's an interesting case because it seemed to me like we had most of their money and they have long-term care and all this other good stuff was happening. Let me just turn your attention, first of all, to the mortgage stuff. So this is something that could make a big difference in these people's lives, and you want to approach it very gingerly because a lot of people, as they're older, they may have different emotional feelings about mortgages and debt and stuff like that. So the way I would approach this, I would kind of start from the bottom and say, look, your house is worth a lot. You're paying $1,500 towards these 2 loans. You have a rate that's a little bit higher than what you should probably be paying, and this HELOC rate is probably variable. So how would you feel about putting these 2 loans together with your auto loan? And I don't know what the auto loan payment is, but it's going to be $400 probably, right? It's $100 per $5,000, so $21,000 car loan is probably $400. What if we did this? What if we moved all these loans together? 13 plus that's 30,000 plus. So let's do a loan for, I don't know, $75,000. Put a little bit of money in your pocket, but consolidate all these, get a higher interest rate, and make your payment much, much lower. How do we do that? Obviously, a $75,000 loan. I'll just jump right to the amortization table. You can probably get 4%, I'm sure. Not a huge loan. Puts a little cash in the pocket. Payment goes down to $358. More tax deductions. Get a little bit more tax deductible interest. So in this particular case, I would say, hey, look, if we could bring your payment down to $350 and keep your mortgage, are you okay with that? And I don't think they probably would have a problem with that. So if that's the case, they're going to save $1,500 a month. And that $1,500 a month is an incredible amount of money that really needs to flow, obviously, up here into life insurance. He's a little bit older. Even though he has long-term care, most of you guys know this, but whatever type of long-term care these guys have, we know it's going to go up at some point. It's not going to be a fixed premium for the rest of his life. He's going to have to deal with it. So what I would like to do is I'd like to have a long-term care supplement. So I'm not going to be replacing long-term care, but I definitely want a supplement. And I want that supplement because $6,000 a month might be $3,000 a month short. So it really stinks to be paying $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 a year in long-term care premium for 20 or 30 years, only to find out that you're shortchanged on the long-term care. So I know I've got at least $18,000 that I can use to put into life insurance long-term care combo policy. And I like to explain to them, long-term care is for long-term care. But when you buy the long-term care life insurance combo, the long-term care benefit is for anything that you want. So this, if you need this money for long-term care, you have to use it for long-term care. It can't be used to buy a new car. It can't be used to go on vacation. It can't be used to take trips to go see the grandkids. It can't be used to gift money to do other things with, right? But when you do the long-term care life insurance combo, that long-term care benefit can be used for any of those things at all. There's no restrictions, so the client can take out tax-free long-term care benefit, and it does not have to be used for long-term care. So people really like that. So in this particular case, the annuities and all the other stuff is already with the advisor, so all I'm doing is I'm going after the Merrill Lynch stuff. And in this particular case, as I recall, Merrill Lynch was charging a wrap account fee of 1%. And in this particular case also, if they're getting a wrap account fee for 1%, I simply just pull up their accounts. You know, I can go into personal fund or go into Yahoo. Let's go into Yahoo just for a second. And the funny thing was this guy's all in index as I recall, index is ETF funds. I think they're doing iShares. So iShares. So let's just see. Let's say iShares Russell 2000 as an example. So I show them the iShares, and I'll do a 5-year history, and then they have iShares S&P 500. Click on that. You see the green line, the iShares Russell and the iShares S&P. They're doing the exact same flipping thing. And then they got iShares mid cap, I think. So they think that they're, geniuses, mid cap right here, and they're diversifying. But if you guys can see the green line, the blue line, and the red line, if you can see the fact that these are identical, when you show somebody this and say, well, not only are these three things identical, but Merrill Lynch is, for the benefit of giving you three of the exact same things, they're charging you 1% of your fee to manage this account that you really could do on your own with just one of these for free. Is this something that you really want to hang your hat on for retirement? So I'm going to blow up the fact that these are redundant. I'm going to blow up the fee. I'm not even talking about performance at all, guys. Right? I don't really need to get into a performance discussion with this because people get this right away, whether they're really smart with investments or they're novices. They see that all of these funds are doing the same thing. Okay? So what do we want to do? We really start talking about things that are a little bit different, maybe doing global indexes using the JP Morgan, using the Merrill Lynch. I like to use Goldman Sachs as well. So that's a pretty easy sale. We should be able to get that money as long as the person's open to looking at, us providing some value for them. I think that makes total sense. So obviously we lost a fee. Obviously we're not getting any value. So let's do something with no fee and get some value. Right? And if you guys aren't out selling a bunch of JP Morgan stuff right now, or the Merrill Lynch stuff or the other stuff, I'll just punch it up real quick and show you guys. I'm sure you guys have a general awareness of it, but I always like to punch everything up compared to the S&P because I know their brochures are all going to compare to the S&P. Okay, so we already saw the zigzag line. People like the real steady Eddie JP Morgan type of smoothed out volatility. It says right here 78% less risk. We know it's actually 100% less risk, right? Because it's principally protected. So the index by itself tends to do better, but at the same time we also have that guarantee. A 20-year look back shows no negative performance ever, even in the worst years of market history. So that's for me is a no-brainer. Okay. So going back to this particular case, number 3, I'm going to take the rest of the money from Merrill Lynch. And then, this particular case, I want to add some insurance and long-term care to this guy's life. He probably never really thought about it, but, this is one of the other things I want to kind of point out to you guys. We're saving tons of money, so we got plenty of money for a premium, okay? But the premium isn't really the issue. The question isn't really, are we going to put $20,000 or $40,000 into life insurance? The question really is for us guys. We sit around and we say, oh, we're really helping our clients out. We're saving them from the market downturns, or we're going to make them more money, whatever else. But too many of us are so focused on the money that we forgot about the real savings at the end, which is to their families, which is taxes. We can make them more money. We can save the money. We can do whatever we want. But if we don't get the money out of these IRAs and out of these annuities, the family's just going to end up getting crushed on taxes. And most people, especially this guy who's probably into retirement, he realizes he's not going to spend all his money. And you can't tell me that he doesn't care about his family because he bought long-term care. If he didn't care about his family, he wouldn't have bought long-term care. He would have just said, oh, I got plenty of money, I can self-insure, I don't care about anybody else, and I don't need the insurance. So I already know this guy cares about his family. So in this particular case, we want him to put as much money to the insurance as he has available to him, and really, which will kind of segue into the last topic I'm going to show you, which is how do we funnel money from these IRAs to the life insurance to get all the benefits we want, the long-term care, the cash value, the death benefit, and make it look like a no-brainer. And for those of you guys who have done the joint work with me, most of our clients, when we're closing the insurance, they're not asking any questions. They're not looking over illustrations. They're just agreeing with it. They're green lighting us. They're saying, take the money out. Let's pay a year in advance. If we've done a good job, then those things go pretty smoothly. All right. So, this advisor already has most of the money. Just one last Merrill Lynch account we want to roll over, get started with a refinance, and then talk to him about maximizing his estate, which will involve insurance. All right. So that's a nice case. Very nice case. Let's go look at the last case. John and Jane Doe, retirement age. Looks like wife is already drawing Social Security. Husband looks like he's still working, making a little bit of money. Most of their money is all in IRAs. Athene, I don't know what this stuff is here. A little bit of non-qualified. Anytime you see the non-qualified of the joint here, you got the possibility to do a little bit of a CRUT. Save them the money on taxes. I actually had a client come in this morning. I'm going to just shift gears for a second. I want to explain the client. Client came in this morning and had a house in Illinois, and he was going to sell the house in Illinois for $250,000. He lives here in Maryland. And he said, well, I think I've depreciated this house because it's been a rental. He was military, and he moved around, and he's been renting the house. So he thinks he's depreciated. So of the $250 value of the house, almost the entire $250 is taxable. And so I said to him, you got to be really careful. And this is another thing I want to point out to you guys. Some people, when they sell houses with large capital gains, if you go to the tax tables, this guy makes a good income. He and his wife both work. They make a couple $100,000 a year. If you go married filing jointly and you make over $466,000, that includes the capital gain of the house on top of your income, you're in the 39.6% tax bracket. What that does is it brings your capital gains rate to 20%. So there's two things a lot of people don't realize if you're not doing this every day, is that if you're in a tax bracket of 15% income or below, you're in a zero capital gain. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people and they've said, oh, yeah, I told my client not to sell any stock because he doesn't want to pay capital gain. But I said, look, he's in a 15% tax bracket. He doesn't have any capital gains. There is no better time to sell than when you have no capital gains tax. And some people would argue with me. They'd say, oh, well, I want to wait till I die to sell the real estate because my kids have a step-up in basis. Yeah, they may have a step-up in basis, but you have no capital gain now. It's the same flipping thing. You can take your money and put it somewhere else so that they're not fighting over a house to sell when you die. There's so many different reasons why you want to do this. But in this particular case, if capital gains tax was boosted up by this, we may want to consider doing a CRUT. Okay? And how the CRUT works in that particular case, and this is not the case here, but how the CRUT works is you need to move the house into the trust, the CRUT trust, before they sell it. And when you move the house into the CRUT trust before you sell it, the CRUT doesn't have to pay capital gains tax. So you as the trustee can then go ahead and sell the house. It's in the CRUT, right? This particular client of mine was 67 years old. So they avoid capital gains tax completely. So it's going to save that 15 to 20% tax plus state tax on everything, right? But now on top of that, don't forget, we don't just avoid the capital gains tax, right? We also get an additional deduction on top of it. So in this particular case, let's say the house sold for $250,000. This client, like I said, is 67 years old. When I show him this number, he flips out, right? Whoops, sorry, 5% income. Only 250,000. 250,123. So, calculate again. Not only do you avoid the capital gains tax, but you actually get a tax deduction for $1.19. What that means is you can take that tax deduction and use it to offset other things like Roth conversions or whatever else you want. Okay, so man, did we save this guy a ton of money on taxes. And the way I position it is, look, this charitable trust we're just setting up a pension for you. Are you okay with us giving you another $12,500 a year every year for the rest of your life, on top of avoiding capital gains tax, on top of generating a six-figure tax deduction? Is that okay with you if we do all three of those things for you? Guys, it doesn't have to get more complicated than this. If you can say to somebody, I'm going to avoid the capital gains tax, I'm going to create a monster deduction for you, and I'm going to give you a pension for the rest of your life, are those three things okay with you? There isn't going to be anybody that's going to say no to that. All right, and that's how the CRUT works. Now there's details involved with the CRUTs. You got to set up the taxpayer ID numbers. You got to set up the CRUT checking accounts. You got to make sure the title work is proper. But once you get good at them, man, are they easy. And we don't charge our clients any money for these things, so it's a great deal. It's really, really a great deal. I wish you guys would take more advantage of those CRUTs. Okay, so anyway, let's go back to the fourth case. So we could do a little bit of a CRUT with this money here. But the other thing, too, is we don't do a CRUT if clients aren't making any money. If there's no tax savings to be had, you don't do the CRUT. In this case, you might want to do the CRUT so that we can convert some of these IRAs to Roth. I don't know how much all this stuff adds to, $250,000, then another. So it's up to $350,000, $450,000. Yeah, it's kind of $600,000. It's a reasonable amount of money. Can start converting some of that little by little. I definitely would do that. And then when this guy retires and takes Social Security, and then he decides to take income from all this stuff, it's not all going to be taxable. Okay? So those are four very, very different cases, by the way. And I think that they're all, again, I can look at them real quick with the model as my tool to figure out what's going on, and I can plan this case very quickly. Right? There might be other things going on. I don't know. I don't see any notes here, assuming these cases are pretty simple. You're going to get all the client's assets because you're not trying to roll over money. You're not saying, hey, I've got an investment for you. You're going to get all the client's assets because you're being strategic. You're their strategic planner. You're their money manager. You're their financial manager. You're all this other stuff. Okay? So that's why we get the money. We don't get the money because we have the best products or, that's not why we get the money. We get the money because people are relying on us for their financial well-being, and we're developing a strategy for them that other people couldn't and wouldn't do. All right, so let's do the real simple task of showing you guys the life insurance. So I got a policy here on a 59-year-old, and 59 is the operative age because that is the age where they can take in-service withdrawals from the retirement accounts and start taking money out of their IRAs without having to pay penalties.
Hey,
right?
Jonathan?
Yes, sir.
It looks like we've got a question in the chat box if you want to take a peek there.
Okay, let me see if I can open the chat box. Yeah, chat. Okay, so it says here, the client came in looking to see when to start taking his Social Security. Oh, this client came in looking to see. I see. So that's a question on the actual case. Good. Okay. So let me see if I can go back to the case. I think we're talking about this last one here. So this client wants to know when to take Social Security. So it looks like the wife is already taking Social Security at age 67. So this particular client at age 62, I would say to you there's two main factors that most people forget about. And by the way, these are not things that the software programs solve for. Right? The software programs solve for both clients living to a certain age of average life expectancy, but the clients don't necessarily take into account their tax situation, and they also don't necessarily take into account if one of them is vastly more healthy than the other. So most of the time, what I would suggest is, look at the full Social Security age at age 66 if people are of average health. And again, I'm not even talking about all the stuff down here. But if this guy's healthy, we all know he's got to live 12 to 14 years, right? But if he's average health or better, then he wants to wait till he's 70 to take Social Security. If he takes Social Security before 66, we know he's going to be penalized because he makes too much money. So I think it's a great segue to talk to them about the health, whereas we're going to give you advice on when to take Social Security, John or Jane. But in order to do that, we want to make sure that you're going to live beyond average life expectancy. So part of our evaluation process is just to have you do a health screening. Number one, to figure out what your relative life expectancies are to each other. But number two, to see if we want to add any life insurance or long-term care to this mix, if you can qualify and all that other kind of stuff. So this particular case, more than likely the answer for him is you are going to take Social Security at 66 if you're going to be retired then. But if you're going to work longer, then you'll just wait if you're of average health. If you're in really, really great health and you're going to work longer, definitely wait till 70, obviously. And I don't know when his wife started taking it, but probably pretty young. So that's how I would do it. Let me see, there's another question here. Follow-up Social Security, do you use Nationwide Social Security Retirement Program? So the question is, do I use Nationwide Social Security Retirement Program, which is free, to see when it is the best time to turn on Social Security? And the answer is no, I do not. I don't use anybody's Social Security programs. It's more of a discovery with me and the client. I've done joint cases with a lot of you guys, and this is part of my concern. You look at a Social Security program or you look at some other program where you punch in numbers that gives you an answer, but you don't know why that answer is the answer. You haven't spent any brain power to figure it out, and so you don't get to have that real discovery with the client. I enjoy where the client and I see it together and figure it out together, so the value that I bring with the client is me, not me punching numbers into a program. And that's just my own personal preference. Some people I know live and die by those programs, and that's how they make their recommendations. I really want my credibility to come from me using my brain power in front of my client and discovering that stuff together. And like I said, I don't believe those programs ever have the clients do a medical exam to find out how healthy they are. And I would say 90% of the Social Security decision is based and should be based upon how healthy your client is. Okay? So those are really good questions. Thank you guys for that. All right, let me jump back to the insurance stuff. If you have any other questions, just type them in that box. I'll be happy to answer them. Let me just see here. Okay, so the other case that I wanted to show you was a perfect example. Let's say a guy has $250,000 in an IRA, okay, or an old 401k, and he's 59 years old, and he's putting all this money into deferral, and he's doing all this stuff, and he doesn't realize that he's kind of just building a bigger tax problem for himself. What I probably want to do is talk to him about, hey, let's take money out of this $250,000 retirement account now that you can, and let's start funneling it into places where you won't have to pay taxes on it in the future. Okay? You cannot get back less money that you put into this in an insurance policy. So this is just a very vanilla, basic $250,000 policy. Why am I doing a $250,000 policy? Because I'm replacing a $250,000 IRA, right? Not rocket science. So if I put in $10,000 a year into this policy, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, he's 90 years old. He's now got $466,000 worth of death benefit. Don't forget, with mutual trust in this column, the immediate death benefit is also available for immediate long-term care. Okay? So the first one bird I'm killing is I'm going to get permanent life insurance. And by the way, guys, even though people say they don't want it, everybody wants permanent life insurance. There isn't anybody that doesn't want it. They all want it. They just don't know they can get it for free. It's not going to cost them anything, right? This second bird that we're killing with this stone is we can take out anywhere between $10,000 and $200,000 a year out of this for long-term care, qualifying by 2 out of 6 ADLs or cognitive impairment. Okay? I like this illustration because you see where it says increase in cash surrender value? It tells us right on here how much money they're getting back each year for what they're putting in. Okay? So as early as the third year, you put in $10,000, the company's giving you back $8,000. How much are you paying for insurance? Less than $2,000. You're putting in $10,000 here in the fifth year, they're giving you $9,800. How much are you paying for insurance? You're paying less than $100. Okay? Obviously, you're going to get to a point here where you're actually going to get more money than you're putting in. And again, we're not trying to make 12% returns. We're not trying to get fancy or do anything else. There's no cost of insurance in here. If there's a cash here, there will never be a deduction from the cash value. This cash value is available for anything they want. Okay? By the time they're in their 70s, they're putting in 10, they're getting 12, 13,000 back. Are you okay with your clients making 20, 30% on their money every single year for the rest of their lives and having death benefit and having long-term care? Well, when you say it like that, of course, yeah, that's all it is, guys. You know, they have a little bit of liquidity issues at the beginning because the insurance company doesn't let them take all their money back because they're taking your money and they're putting on some on reserves and they're investing the rest. But as soon as they start earning money, you get this money back in dividends. That's a participating policy, right? And so by the time they reach life expectancy, this $250,000 will have easily have doubled in value, you know, over $500,000. If they had needed any money along the way, it could have been used for whatever they wanted. They're making a killing. There's no, you know, somebody might say to me, well, when I'm 75, I don't want to be paying for insurance anymore. That's fine. Don't pay. But if you want to give me 10, I'll give you 13 or 14 back. If that's okay with you, continue putting money in here. If you don't want to put money in here, that's fine. Just everything will stop growing, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But in this particular case, I'll show you how the actual withdrawal works. So $10,000 is the net that we need. So now let's look at the calculator. And again, it's really simple. We just show them, hey, look, rather than letting our retirement account grow, we're going to take this $250. We're going to have our cake and we're going to eat it too. Right? I already know I can earn them 5 or 6%. It doesn't matter to me. Right? I'm going to take out 12.5. Why am I taking out 12.5? Because I got to account for taxes. 12.5 is going to net me 10. Right? At the end of 25 years, of your $250,000 of IRA money, you still have $220,000 left. You still have the whole IRA left. Okay? But we've taken out the interest each year after 25 years. All we're doing is taking out the interest, paying taxes on it, and moving it somewhere where it will never be taxable again. Okay? So you still have your $220,000 IRA after 25 years. Is it okay if you have an additional $300,000 sitting here tax-free and $400,000 worth of death benefits / long-term care? Is that okay with you? People jump at this stuff, guys. Let's not make it more complicated, please. Please let's not sell ULs. Please let's not sell moving targets. Please let's not sell cap rates and participation rates and cost of insurance and let's just not do that, guys. Sell them all the money you want in the annuities, do the management money, do whatever you want, but don't mess with the insurance, okay? It's just going to come back and bite you in the ass because when the client reduces premium or they take money out, it's going to blow up whatever you wanted them to do. It's just not the right thing. You want to have your clients know that your plan's going to work no matter what. If they take money out of here and they stop paying, they're going to still keep the insurance forever. It's the only type of insurance that you know your client's going to get to keep forever. Okay? It doesn't have to be more complicated. And guys, you know, you sell a $10,000 policy, you do a $250,000 rollover, you do that once a day, you're going to make millions of dollars a year. Every case is a great case as far as I'm concerned because we're making a difference in people's lives. We're not just making them more money so they can pay more taxes. You guys hear what I'm saying? This is so important. We're not just making them more money so they can pay more money in taxes. We're showing them how to move things into things that are tax sheltered to save themselves, their estates, their kids, and their grandkids hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. Okay? I went quickly. I got it all done. What questions do you guys have? Anything else? Those are guys, thank you very much for sending those cases over. I really appreciate it. But there's so many holes in most people's planning. I mean, in this last case, I didn't even talk about long-term care, whether they have a will. I don't know if they have any cash or not. But, you know, obviously we already have their money. We've already got their money safe. Let's take the next step. Let's do some charitable trusts. Let's do some life insurance. Let's do some long-term care. You know, even though some of these cases might seem small, if we're doing good, you know, a small case for us is making $5,000 or $10,000. That's a small case. That would be a really small case for you guys, right? Making $5,000 or $10,000. You guys do realize if you make $5,000 or $10,000 every single day, you're making $2 to $3 million a year. That's not small. That's huge. So focus on the volume. Focus on doing the right thing for your clients. Focus in on, you know, seeing as many people as you can, and good things will happen, I promise you. Okay? So if you haven't done business with Mutual Trust, don't forget, they've got this trip to Australia next year. We have a little bit of a golf incentive coming up. So at the end of the summertime, if you are able to submit, I think, 3 cases with them and pay for a couple, We're going to do an advanced life insurance training in Chicago at the end of September. I think a lot of you guys know that there's going to be a trip next year with Creative that we're excited about, going to, I don't know if they've announced it or not, but yeah, potentially going to Whistler, I guess, which I was just in Whistler. Unbelievable place. Oh my God, there is no better place in the summertime to go to 10,000-foot elevation mountains with beautiful, I mean, they have everything there. I brought my kids with me. I hadn't brought them there since they were like 3 or 4, but we were whitewater rafting, we were downhill biking, we went zip lining, we went fishing, we got massages. I mean, it was unbelievable how much stuff there is to do up there. So I'm super excited to go back next year and see all you guys there. And what questions do you guys have? Anything?
Hey, Jonathan, there's one in the chat box, and then would you like me to unmute the lines?
Yeah, you can go ahead and unmute the line.
Okay, and then there is that one question there if you look in your chat
I see.
box.
When you mention getting a health
conference
screening,
has been unmuted.
When you mention getting a health screening, doesn't that give a person a heads up that we were talking about life? So when I talk about the health screening, I absolutely want to tell them, look, we want to find out about life insurance. We want to find out about long-term care. We want to find out about estate planning. We want to find out about Social Security decisions. Yeah, we definitely want to talk about all those things. We want them to go in to the health screening knowing that we're trying to evaluate all these different things for them because it's part of good planning. So, anybody want to chime in with anything else before I sign off? Any other questions? All right. Well, I'm available to reach out to me. Bobby's available. Dennis, thank you guys very much for hosting. There's a lot of feedback now, so I will just say thank you. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your summer, and I'll talk to you guys.